Welcome to the Leaders in Payments podcast, where we talk to C-level leaders from across the payments landscape. We'll be discussing the products and services that impact the payment space today, as well as trends and predictions for the future of payments. We will also hear stories from our guests about their journeys to the top.
You don't have to use 2, 3, 4 systems. So you're replacing in the past or traditionally what might take 2 or 3 systems with one system, which is really our biggest differentiator. And with some of our fintech competitors, I would say what the biggest differentiator is our Powered By module, which allows us to work directly with banks and allow them to white label our software and our solution and sort of resell to their customers.
That was Brent Jackson, the CEO and founder of Torpago. And this is episode 233 of the Leaders in Payments podcast. And I'm your host, Greg Myers. Brent has a passion for building products that help customers solve their pain points and has made it his mission to simplify spending for small businesses. Torpago is a corporate credit card and spend management platform with slightly north of 1,400 small business customers and a very vertical agnostic platform. According to Brent, they have very intentionally and successfully rebuilt the credit card experience from the ground up for small businesses. Their software is easily configurable and customizable for anything from a 2-person bakery to a 5,000-person brand. Brent and I go on to talk about his journey to the role of CEO, including where he sees the industry going in the next 2 to 3 years as it relates to consolidation, innovation, the embedded journey, and the trend of non-financial companies offering core financial products. We've got a great episode ahead, so let's get started. Hi, Brent. Thank you for being here, and welcome to the Leaders in Payments podcast.
Hey, good afternoon, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in, if you don't mind. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, maybe where you grew up, where you went to school, where you currently live, a few things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Brent Jackson, founder and CEO of Torpago. Real quick on me, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area in a town called Burlingame, a little bit south of San Francisco. Born and raised here, went up to college at Gonzaga University, studied finance and accounting up there for 4 years, and then made my way pretty quickly back down to San Francisco to start my career.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the company. So tell the audience what Torpago does.
Yeah, so put simply, Torpago is a corporate credit card and spend management platform. We launched in 2020, and we serve about 1,400 plus SMB customers. Essentially, we've rebuilt the credit card experience from the ground up for SMBs. So our core product we started with is Visa commercial charge cards and spend management software, which enable businesses to spend smarter, better manage corporate cards, reimbursements, the full spending process. And that's our core business. And we also have a new product, which we just launched, which is called Torpago Powered By, where we enable banks to launch their own card programs. So high level, that's what we're doing right now.
Okay. And how big is the company?
Yeah, so there's about 36 of us on the team as of today.
Okay. And are you focused just on the U.S. now or have already expanded?
Yeah, at the moment, just the U.S. So our cards work everywhere in the world, but we only work with businesses headquartered in the U.S. today.
Okay. And maybe talk a little bit about your go-to-market strategy. Do you have field salespeople, direct sales team? Do you work through partnerships or all of the above?
Yeah, definitely all the above. The majority of our customers come from partnerships. So we have a referral partner program with about 150 or so referral partners. So think anywhere from content creators on social media all the way up to large corporate partners and everything in between. That drives a lot of our inbound and our business customers. We also have a sales team that'll do more direct sales and targeted sales. For those, we'll target based on specific verticals that we work with. Another one is accounting systems that we integrate with, such as like NetSuite, Oracle, Intact. We'll target companies that operate those systems and ones that we feel we can provide value to. But yeah, definitely a hybrid approach to date.
Okay. And you mentioned a word there. I want to double click on verticals. Are there specific verticals that your product is better for, or is it kind of blanket across the board for small businesses, just any type?
Yeah, it's really blanketed across the board. What I'd say I'm really proud of our team and our product on is how configurable our solution is. So, I mean, depending on the vertical, the size of the company, our features can be turned on or off pretty seamlessly and can serve a 2-person bakery as well as they could serve a 5,000-person public company. With that being said, we have had a lot of success in our portfolio and customer bases. We have some verticals where we have more focus on, such as manufacturing, e-commerce, construction. A lot of the core kind of non-venture backed industries is how we explain them. We found a lot of adoption there early on.
Okay. Maybe walk through a typical use case. So small business, 20 employees, do they typically start with one card? Do they get 20 cards? Like, what is sort of the process?
Yeah. So depending on the business, typically what we see is most common is that if you've got 20 employees, this is just starting to become a pain point or headache for you. Most likely, you're probably using American Express or Capital One or some sort of traditional larger card issuer. And maybe your employees are paying for things out of pocket or getting reimbursed through Concur or something. And you're looking for a better solution that's a little more seamless and connected and just easier to use. So typically what that would look like is the business owner or the finance or accounting person will sign up. We see most of our customers issue cards to every single employee to start. At a minimum, they'll give them all their employees a Torpago software account. So he or she can log in and they can request cards, they can request limit increases on the fly, kind of as needed. But yeah, typically we see most employers are giving each employee one card to start. And that's kind of our value prop, right? Like, we have the tools to put really tight controls around spending and budgeting and to ensure that the cards are being used appropriately. So the business owners feel confident that they can give their team members cards and not lose sleep about them spending in the wrong categories or overspending.
Okay. And is there a rewards component to it?
Yes, we do cash back. We have a baseline of 1.25% cash back, and that's unlimited on every swipe. And then we have partner perks as well. We partner with various different, third parties and have a wide range of discounts and other sort of perks that you get as cardholders. Anything from discounts on a software subscription all the way up to my favorite, which is iPhone crack screen repair insurance and pretty much everything in between there.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier the integration with the accounting system. So maybe talk a little bit about that and how important that is to your product.
Yeah, very important piece of the product and one of the more valuable things that we offer. So we integrate with about 1,000 different third-party solutions through API. On the accounting side, all of the top accounting systems that you could imagine, we have integrations with. What that does is it's a bidirectional real-time data sync between Torpago and the accounting system. So as employees, I guess backing up on the setup, you can pull in any data from your accounting system. So things like expense accounts, cost centers, departments, budgets, all that stuff that lives in your financial accounting ledger can be pulled into Torpago. And then once you have cards issued and out there, you can, as charges are being swiped and they're being approved in real time, we kind of break everything down to the per transaction level. So instead of having employees wait till the end of the month to download a PDF statement and group charges together and get reimbursed, as you swipe your card, you get notified via a push notification in real time. You can snap a picture of the receipt, choose any required fields. You can hit submit, and then it would go through an approval process internally. And once approved, it automatically can sync into your accounting system. So you can go from swiping to approving to syncing within minutes, really, and save your accounting team a lot of hours and sort of tedious manual tasks.
We've all heard the terms embedded payments or integrated payments. And of course, it's a huge trend in our industry. But the truth is, there's so much more to the story. So in collaboration with NMI, the fully integrated payment solution built to scale, we've launched the Be Solid campaign, where we're exploring embedded finance with guests from leading companies like KeyBank, Bain Capital Ventures, and more. To listen to the latest episodes, visit leadersinpayments.com or nmi.com/resources/podcast. In a world full of squares and stripes, be solid. What would you say differentiates your company from your competitors out there?
Yeah, I think a couple different things. On our direct to SMB product, It really depends on the competitors, right? So I kind of look at it in two sort of groups. You've got the more legacy players in the space. Think like big card issuers like American Express or companies like Concur, Expensify. For those folks, what really differentiates us is that we have a more encompassing solution. So, with Torpago, you get not just a card and not just expense software, you get both. You get cards, you get one platform to issue cards to your team. You get software to manage expenses, approvals, insights, integration, one seamless platform to really manage everything. And you don't have to use 2, 3, 4 systems. So you're replacing in the past or traditionally what might take 2 or 3 systems with one system, which is really our biggest differentiator. And with some of our fintech competitors, I would say what the biggest differentiator is our Powered By module, which allows us to work directly with banks and allow them to white label our software and our solution and sort of resell to their customers. That's something that we're really excited about that we just launched and is a big differentiator in the fintech space.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. What size banks would typically offer your product? Is it more smaller banks and credit unions, or is it up to regional type banks?
Yeah, it can be all the way up to regional. Initially, our focus has been on community banks and credit unions. Under 15 billion in assets has kind of been the focus to date to start. But, really any bank all the way up to a regional or like a larger issuer, we're starting to see a lot of those looking for solutions and more spend management functionality. But yeah, to start, it's been really focused on some of the smaller institutions as partners.
Okay. And I'm assuming it's because it's called Powered By, it's a white labeled solution?
Yeah, exactly. So 100% white labeled. Think of it as Torpago's providing all the kind of behind the scenes infrastructure for the bank to power the program. So we provide everything from card issuing processing to underwriting, to all the software applications, integrations, risk, fraud controls, all the hard stuff about building a credit card program that, quite frankly, banks just don't want to do, don't have the bandwidth or expertise on. We queue that up for them, make it really easy for them, and they essentially put their brand on the front of the card, resell to their customers, and then they have the option to issue themselves or through one of our partner banks. Yeah, and then we try and make it really easy for them to have a really sticky and competitive product that they can provide some value to their customers for.
Okay. Yeah, I love that concept. Where do you see, if you take a step back to the broader payments industry, or you can answer this in respect to your own business, but where do you see the payments industry headed, say, in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, I think short term, I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation in the payments industry. There's a lot of choppiness in the market at the moment and a lot of economic uncertainty. I think with that, you're going to see a lot of consolidation. I think a lot of these bigger companies that are well capitalized are going to start to acquire some of the smaller competition and some of the smaller venture-backed companies that may be having a harder time raising capital. So yeah, short term, definitely a lot of consolidation is what we're thinking.
What about long term? Can you get the crystal ball out and think out 5, 10 years?
I wish I had the answer to 10 years. But yeah, I think short term, there's going to be a lot of consolidation. I think long term, you'll continue to see a lot of innovation. I think there's going to be a lot more emphasis on embedded payments, embedded financial services. I think you'll continue to see a lot of companies that are not traditionally involved in the payments stack or looked at as a fintech company or payments company rolling out more financial products. You've seen it lately with some larger public companies kind of getting into the space more heavily. And I think that's only going to continue in the payments vertical as we look out 5, 10 years ahead.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree with you there. I think the concept of the embedded finance and a business that has a software that's sort of their operating system of their business, so to speak, I think we're going to see more of those software companies offering products, financial products, whether they're lending, credit cards, bank accounts. I think we're just going to definitely see that trend continue.
Yeah, there's been so many software companies that have reached a scale, right, where they have really good user bases and they're looking for ways to better serve those customers. And I completely agree. Yeah, banking, bank accounts, neobank, credit card issuance. There's been a big rise in enablement providers lately, companies like Marqeta on the processing side and card issuance side. And it's just become a lot easier, quite frankly, to add in some of these products. And I think, you're already starting to see it, and it's only going to grow more.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to beat a dead horse here, but I think there's value in it in that they have so much data about the customer that it allows them to make intelligent decisions on what products to offer.
Absolutely. And then even taking that a step further is the amount of data that those companies get from those products is just really attractive to them too, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you. So tell us about your journey to being the founder and CEO there of Torpago.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. I started my career after graduation. I worked at Deloitte in San Francisco. So was a consultant in the corporate tax group of all things to start my career. Great place to launch and start a career. They invest really heavily in their people, and really good place to jump off from. Didn't want to be a partner and do the consulting thing long term. So I left and went to a smaller company in the payment space called Accrualify. They were actually recently just acquired by FleetCor, but essentially what they were trying to do was compete with Bill.com and Coupa, somewhere in the mid-market on the accounts payable and vendor management side of things. And I was one of the first employees there, and really got to work with, a lot of different small businesses and listen to kind of what their pain points were. And sort of the timing just worked out, and left Accrualify with some of the folks there. And we started Torpago and haven't really looked back since. We left with the mission to simplify spending for small businesses. And, we got a long way to go, but we're pretty happy with what we've built so far. And yeah, that's kind of how we got here.
Okay. And so you founded the company right before the pandemic hit. So tell us a little bit about how that was.
Man, I'm laughing a little bit here because, it was interesting. Definitely not the most optimal time to be starting a business. We actually did a soft launch with like our first 3 or 4 friendly customers that were going to start swiping our card, and like a closed beta to give us some feedback. And that was right in April of 2020. So right when things were starting to shut down. And yeah, I'll say this, it's not the ideal time to start a business, but I think it benefited us greatly. It really forces you to focus on your business, on the economics, margins, like things that you might not historically have looked at when capital was flowing and the market was hot, right? So I would say that definitely challenging, but, allowed us to kind of take our time, really get to understand our customers and what it is that we were creating for them. And at the time, didn't seem good, but I'd say looking back on it, it was a great time to start a business. And, if you can make it through something like that, it gives you confidence that you can survive almost anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what are some things you're passionate about? So maybe one work-related passion and one personal passion.
Yeah, on the work side, really just passionate about building products that help customers solve pain points, right? I think at my core, I'm a product founder. So just love interacting with customers and hearing about their struggles and kind of what makes their job difficult, and building products and software with our team that can sort of help them solve those problems. Really passionate about that. On the personal side, passions, pretty married to the job. That takes up a lot of it. But, love kind of spending time with family whenever I can, and really love traveling. So haven't been able to do too much of that lately, but really like to travel whenever I can, and, get to go to new places and, experience the culture and food and learn about in different places.
Okay. You obviously have started this company and you've worked in the industry for a while and have hired people. And if you look back over time, many people who started in this industry a while back kind of just fell into it and never really thought they'd have a career in payments or a career in fintech. But I think, that's changed, right? Kids coming out of college now, they may have even taken fintech courses in college, which certainly wasn't an opportunity for a lot of us. And they look at the industry and say, hey, that's a place I want to grow and build a career. So the question is, what advice would you give those coming right out of school? They look at fintech, they look at payments, and they want to build a career there. What would you tell them to do to be successful?
Yeah, I'd say a couple things. Number one is just, you ask a lot of questions, be as inquisitive as possible, and really start to build your network even before you get out of school. a lot of universities, almost every university has a very strong alumni network, and everybody wants to help. So whether it's somebody from your school, whether it's people in the space, if you think you're interested in fintech, payments, or some sort of specific vertical within fintech, I would say just ask as many questions as you can, read everything you can. With the internet, with today's day and age, you can learn, teach yourself anything. But yeah, just really ask as many questions and really focus on building that network. For me, I can't tell you how many things that we've gotten as a company that have come from somebody who I met 3-4 times removed from an initial connection, right? Every meeting you go on, you should always try and get something out of it, whether or not that person can help you or you can help them. There's always an intro or down the road, something that you could possibly get out of it. So just really build that network I really would stress that. And you'd be surprised how far that can take you and how much people are willing to help when you just ask.
Okay. Well, we've covered a lot of ground about you and your background and the company and the value you bring to the industry and a little bit about what you see in the future. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that was great. I really appreciate your time and always enjoyed chatting about the payment space and Torpago, and really can't thank you enough for having me on.
Absolutely. And what would be the best way for people to learn more about you and the company? Yeah,
absolutely. I would say, our website, torpago.com, a lot of great info on there. We're most active on LinkedIn. So give us a follow on LinkedIn. We post a lot of good updates on the company and payments in general. And, don't hesitate to reach out to anybody on our team. More than happy to help and kind of answer any questions.
Okay. All right, Brent. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know your time is very valuable, so I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Greg.
Absolutely. And to all you listeners out there, I thank you for your time as well. And until the next story.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Leaders in Payments podcast. Make sure you visit our website at leadersinpayments.com, where you can subscribe to the show and where you'll find our show notes. If you enjoyed listening, please share on your social channels as well.